but doing nothing extra?
The history is that the federal government required this NPDES system. The state of Washington was a relative latecomer to getting a state permit. In between there were a number of industries or private industrial sites which got their own permits as required by law. One of the wood treatment plants, for example. Then the state of Washington said, okay, wet side counties, phase 1 will apply to county populations over, I forget what the number was, and city populations over. Phase 2 applies to smaller cities, essentially it applies to everybody on the wet side, and begins to apply to the larger jurisdictions on the dry side. We are the city is a phase 2 permit holder. On the other hand, some of the industrial users, and in fact, I think the school district, if I'm correct, have their own permit rather than being under the city umbrella permit.
So I guess what I'm trying to get at, is there equity here? Are there some people out here with this permit that aren't doing anything extra?
They're
and
actually
like
treated-
Other or new industry that's being charged a higher rate? That was kind of where I was going. Is there equity, or are we looking at some type of imbalance out there?
No, what we're looking at, Patty, is giving them a discount off of the stormwater rates to recognize that they're already treating their own the
Okay.
majority of their
So they are
stormwater
doing
and
something
their
in
other stuff.
addition to earn themselves that
A
credit?
lot.
Okay.
A lot. It costs some of them hundreds of thousands of dollars a year to operate their own versus to put it through our system.
Okay, that was my question. Thank you.
One last question. It just dawned on me, I know the dog and cat issue is a really important thing to a lot of citizens here in the city. And now it's coming out of taxes. I mean, it's coming out of our taxes that we're, you're giving a donation or more or less, because the contract part of it's already taken care of by fees. How much does it cost the city to put up a bond of an election to the citizens saying we want a bond, put a bond issue up for $25,000, and then the citizens could actually vote on this saying, we're willing to pay that. Yes, we'll vote yes for the bond, and then you say fine, and you tax them the amount to take care of that bond, and they're happy, and dogs and cats are happy, and then if someone doesn't want to do that, they can vote, I don't want to do that. Am I off base in this? Maybe to put up a bond is too expensive, the actual process? I don't understand. Why don't we just put it up for a bond and let citizens decide if they want to pay it or not, rather than the city just saying, we're going to do it, like it or not, we're giving this 25 grand. You say we can't afford it?
What
You would know.
does it cost to put an issue on the ballot?
What we experienced with the fire levy was about $10,000 estimate.
Well, then go for 35 grand, take 10 back.
The bigger problem is we're already capped. There is no more taxable
Yeah.
amount out there that we could possibly get.
We're actually going
Unfortunately.
to lose money dollar for dollar from our taxes to the library district, because there's a $3.60 hard limit per thousand.
I do recall that. Okay, question answered, thank you.
Any other comments from the public? Yes, Martha.
First of all, compliments to the council for asking questions and stating things like, we need to explain to the public the assumptions that are underlying this. I think that's very important, because the public's going to, we're sitting here trying desperately to understand, and we're here. It's a lot of information, so we appreciate all of you being that concerned. I have a question. There is something on the agenda this evening that you haven't talked about yet. I don't know if it's still going to be on your agenda, the photo radar. Okay, and the person that authored that isn't here this evening, is that correct?
That's me.
That was you? Oh, okay. Oh, somehow I thought it was somebody else that authored that. No, okay. I just have some questions that I hope you'll consider in your discussion, because I'm curious about this. Having lived in Arizona for 14 years, they implemented the photo radar, especially in Scottsdale. I got dinged. Speeding, picture, couldn't deny it, even had a hat on, and they still could tell it was me and my car. I was driving a Jeep, you wouldn't probably be going that fast. But the program is pretty successful there, And the people are pretty happy with it. They weren't when it was implemented, but they are now, because it is a revenue builder, it does slow traffic down, less red lights are being gone through, so I don't know if you consider Arizona the same as Washougal. Just throwing that out there. Sorry. That was a little, I'm sorry, that was a little, I apologize. But I do have some questions about this, because when you're talking about a resolution and you're wanting to implement something versus not implement, I'm just curious about why now you're bringing this up. I mean, what is that about? And what's the research that you're using to determine the success or failure of this? So, and that might be something to bring to the table and attach to the resolution, so you have some data. In a time when the police are stretched, is this something that might help? Since it's a 24/7 thing, if you're doing radar for photo, for speeding or red lights, I don't know what you're considering. What's the cost? Is there revenue that's going to be brought in that's helpful? Why not? Or safety, is that going up? I didn't have time to research where in the state of Washington, that might be important to know, that this is currently being used and how successful that is. So that might be something to at least bring out. And I guess the assumptions underlying this would be, here's that word, the assumptions for doing this. What is the benefit versus what is the cost? And really being clear in doing this.
By the way, just as a point of a clarification, the resolution is prohibiting the city from doing it.
I'm understanding that.
Oh, okay, okay.
But these are questions to ask.
Right.
Because you
So-
might want to have this in the city. I mean, there may be people that do want this. One of my concerns was this last statement that says that whereas the increased use, whereas photo enforcement cameras are often equated with an increased surveillance state. That was an odd statement, and I'm just wondering, does that include web cameras that do traffic safety, pedestrians, cameras that are on surveillance for like the MAX train, for instance, which is in Portland, places like that, or is this a separate issue? Just another question to make sure that you're looking at your assumptions for this. Okay? Thanks.
Thanks, Martha. Any other comments from the public? Mike?
I'm Mike Reinhardt, 39521 Southeast Evergreen Boulevard. I want to say the FCS presentation I thought was quite impressive. Some of the fees, because I even pay fees in the city, other than just outside the city. But as far as development for the future, when you talk about your 2-inch and 4-inch lines, what the costs are, and also system development charges, at this time, we still need to be pretty careful on those, because it's been a real hindrance for any developers, and it looks like we probably have another 2 or 3 years of the same thing. Therefore, you're gonna continue to lose money on system developments anyway. So on the larger scale, I think we need to take another look at it. But that's my opinion. Thank you.
Thanks, Mike. Any other comments? Okay, moving into the department head reports and agenda bills. Trevor, coming and running with land for Zone 4 Reservoir.
Yes, Zone 4 improvements, the McGuire parcel north of town has a requirement with our county review. They want to have a covenant that runs with the property to be able to access the stormwater facility at any time. They did have emphasis on emergency response.